Now, before we start, I just want to go through the yesterday's recording or session because today's session is totally dependent upon yesterday's. So let me quickly show the screen what we recorded yesterday. Yeah, right. So what I showed yesterday was if we talk about English and if I say three sentences, you are running, I am running, we are running. Oh, someone is there. I'm here.
कुछ नहीं मैं कॉल करता हूँ
Yeah, so
जो नीचे क्वेश्चन थे वो सब लोग
Amina, can you please mute yourself? Thanks. So this is a quick recap of what we learned yesterday. We were talking about verbs, and I'll give you an example. If we say you are running, I am running, we are running, in English, the verb running remains the same, irrespective of whichever tense, sorry, not tense, whichever case we are using, that is first person, singular, second person, whatever it may be. However, if we talk about German, the verb endings keep changing depending upon which sense it is used. So, for example, if I say about myself, it will be ich renne. If it is for somebody other than me, for you, for example, du rennst. So this way, the verb ending keeps changing. Now, there are certain rules which are allocated, and in most cases, these rules are followed. So this is a good news for everybody because you need not learn conjugation of every verb. Now this ending changes is known as conjugation. So for example, trinken. So trinken is to drink, and here the same thing will apply. Ich trinke, du trinkst, er trinkt. So even if you learn a few of those regular verbs, conjugation, you will be more than prepared to tackle more than 60% of verbs in German language. So this was all about regular verbs. Now this is only 50% of the story. Today we are going to tackle irregular verbs. Okay, so yesterday by chance it so happened, I'll show you again my yesterday screen. If you see, just by chance it so happened that I picked up a irregular example also yesterday. Let me quickly check where it is. Yeah, here it is. So you see friends, if we talk about SN, this is a irregular verb. Now just by seeing at the verb you cannot identify whether it is a irregular or regular, but with practice, the more you learn, the more you understand the language, you will be in a better position to learn them. So if I try to conjugate SN, so I will say ish S, and the do form is not est, it becomes ist, ISST, or I said T. So this is a irregular form. Okay, so that means here it is making a difference. It is making a deviation from the regular logic. Most of the cases you will find the deviation in do form and RGS form. In RGS form it is ist, wir SN, ihr ist, ZZ SN. So this is just a glimpse. I mean, today we are going to focus only upon this topic. So let me narrate it in a better way today. So here we are. Just a minute. So let's say, firstly, I have to put out the list of personal pronoun. Ich, du. Can somebody tell what else should come here?
Z R Z S.
Absolutely right. R, Z, S. Next.
Here,
Right.
here we
On ZZ.
ZZ.
Absolutely right. Z and capital Z.
Okay, see, I was just reviewing your old sessions and I got confused with Z starting with small s and Z starting with capital S. Could you please rephrase once again?
Sure. Let's say if I am a small boy and I'm talking to a grandfather, he's very
Mm-hmm.
senior to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I will use capital Z.
Yeah, as in part of respect or gratitude.
Yes. Now, if I'm a small boy and I'm talking to a lady who is a colleague who is also of the same cadre, here I'll be using Z small.
For lady or female, it's starting
Z.
small s, and for respectable person, it's z. Okay, yeah. Thanks
Exactly.
for reminding me things.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So here we are. We are now talking about irregular verbs. So this is the personal pronoun that I have written here. And let's say I take an example of geben, G-E-B-E-N, which means to give. I'll write down small here. Geben is equal to give. By the way, friends, I want to tell you one more thing. Let's say in English, I say I am waiting, right? So there are three characters, three you can say tile or three parts of the sentence. However, if you convert it in German and if you speak in German that I am waiting, then you only write ich warte, right? W-A-R-T-E. I apologize for my bad handwriting. Warte, W-A-R-T-E, right? So which transliterates to I wait. So whenever you are learning German and English, I mean German, and you already speak English, don't try to transliterate each and every part of the English sentence to German sentence. Otherwise, you will think upon like there are three parts in this English sentence, and here in German only two. Then something is missing. It seems like, but it's not like that. It's absolutely correct, right? So if I say I am drinking, I am drinking. So it becomes ich trinke. That's all. Okay. Coming back, here we are. So let's say we are talking about geben, that is to give. So the conjugation will be a little different, and the difference will be most likely in do form and in ersatz form. I'll show you. It becomes ich gebe, then du gibst, ersatz gibt, wir geben, ihr gibt, ihr gebt, G-E-B-T, sie geben. Now, at first glance, you won't find any big difference between regular and irregular. But for irregular verbs, you have to remember them by heart. That is the only option available. Because the other irregular examples may not be following the previous irregular example, right? So, just for example, by chance, we took this yesterday also, essen, that is to eat. So, it becomes ich esse, du isst, RGS also becomes East. Wir essen, ihr esst, sie essen. Now, friends, you may be thinking a little overwhelmed, or you may be finding it very hard to remember. But trust me, this is the portion wherein I never faced any big problem, because with time you start recognizing the words, and with time you get used to them. So right now you may find it a little hard to understand, but with time, if you keep on revising, it is not rocket science. You can learn it very, very easily. A few more example, Nehema, N-E-H-M-E-N. This is to take something from somebody. So it becomes Ich nehme, du nimmst. RGS nimmt, wir nehmen. Fortunately, if you see friends, this wir form is always the infinitive. You see, geben the same as infinitive geben, essen, nehmen. So invariably the changes comes only when you are talking about this do form and you are talking about this RGS form. Invariably, I mean, it's not a concrete regel, concrete logic, but still it is like mostly applicable. Now here named NEHMT ZZ nehmen. And the last that I want to take up is fahren. Fahren means to travel. So ich fahre, du fährst, RGS fährt, wir fahren, ihr fahrt, sie fahren. Alright friends, any doubt, any question here?
So A is similar in all the cases or only for do and SCS?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
This do and RGS makes the deviation.
Okay.
Rest everything remains almost the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I would suggest you friends, please take a screenshot of it because this is something that you must learn by heart. Okay. So this was all about this irregular verbs. Now there are a few more irregular verbs that we need to remember, and one of them is sein. You probably know that because this is almost like in every sentence you will find some form of this sign, which is to be. And there is one more counterpart which is haben. This is to have. Now friends, please concentrate. Just a minute. Now friends, I would request you please concentrate here because this logic you should learn by heart. Otherwise it will be a pain for throughout your future journey. It's not complicated, it's very easy by the way. Sein is used maybe 20% times. It is very less used. Haben is used close to 80% times. Right. Now, let me proceed with the conjugation first. Okay. So, the first person ish. Just a minute. What is this? Just 1 minute. Ish, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie. Alright, so let's proceed. So if you were to use the sein form, the conjugation looks like this. This is kind of a 100% exception. I mean, it's definitely irregular, but you have to remember it by heart. It's like almost like in every sentence you will be making use of these two verbs. So ich becomes here ich bin, du bist, RGS ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. Okay, I will go into the logic or usage a little later, but for now just remember these things. And for haben,
Sid, I didn't get this part. Ich bin is du bist. I lost this part.
Yeah. I will tell you. I'm writing down right now for you to take a screenshot. Then I'll explain everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Now here becomes ich habe, du hast, RGS hat, wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. Alright, so I have written this completely. I request you guys, please take a screenshot. And this is again something that you need to remember by heart. Okay, I hope you have taken the screenshots. Also, okay. So now let's focus upon sein first, this portion. So ich is the first person singular, that is I. So I am a boy. Suppose if I were to write, then I will say ich bin ein Mann oder ich bin ein junger boy, whatever. Ich bin Kind. That is I am. You can correlate it as I am, right? Let me give you some examples now. I am a boy. So it will be ich bin
Junge.
whatever you can say Junge, whatever, Mann, oder ich bin Ingenieur, for example. I am engineer, right? So this is the bin, which is the first person format of sein. That is very simple, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you were to say you are engineer,
Du bist.
yes, simple. So here it will be du bist Ingenieur, right? Now if I say he is teacher, so can somebody suggest me what can be written here?
ist Lehrer.
Yes, absolutely right. Lehrer. By the way, if I say in English he is a teacher, then again the conversion will be er ist Lehrer. I believe I have taken up this issue earlier also, that before profession we don't use article.
Yep.
Yeah, correct.
So make sure. Many times I have seen people introducing themselves to a German, saying that I am a software engineer, for example. So if you even talk to a German in English, they still expect some sort of German tint in your English language. So if you say I am a engineer, they find it a little awkward. They will be more comfortable if you say I am engineer, right? So even if you are talking in English to a German, you should prefer not to use article before your profession. All right. Then let's say I have written we are Indians.
Wir sind indisch.
Yes, wir sind Indisch. Right? And suppose if I say, I am saying you are NRVians. That is, you all are from NRV. Then,
Du sind.
Westphalia. So then I will be using ihr seid.
Ihr.
Yeah, because
Yeah, yes.
You are.
guys.
Group of people.
Yeah. Please, any comments? Any question? No.
Nine.
Right. And then if I say, if I'm a small kid and I'm talking to grandfather, and I say, you are very nice.
Sie sind groß. Nice again.
Es gibt, here is a special word. Sie sind sehr nett.
Very.
Yeah. So Sie sind sehr nett. So this is simple that you can use it to your grandfather also. Now here S is capital, and if you are talking to, let's say this is me, and I am talking to people like me, there's a group of people, and then I have to say you are very nice people, you are very nice people. So here again the same sentence will be used. Sie sind sehr nett, but S will be small. By the way, as Amia asked this question earlier, if I were to say to a Frau, sorry, this is me, and I am talking to a colleague, lady, and I have to say, you are very nice. Then I will say, if I'm talking to somebody who is a lady or a gents, whatever, then I'll straight away say, du bist sehr nett. Getting my point, friends?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
because it's a second person. Directly, I'm talking to somebody,
Yeah, correct.
right? However, if I were to, it's me, for example, and I am talking to somebody, he or she, and I'm talking about a lady who is a colleague of me, right? Let's say it is A talking to B about she, right? So I'm talking to B about some other lady. So I will be using Z. Why? Suppose if I have to talk about some person, who is he? So I will say, er ist sehr nett. In English, it will be, he is very nice. Getting my point, friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking to somebody about some other third person. So I will tell Mr. B that Mr. X is very good. He is very nice. Er is sehr nett. And if I were to talk about this X is a lady, for example, then again it will be only Z.
Z is, yeah, Z is.
Z is sehr nett. Right?
So in this case, Z is Zernet, or in the above example, Z sind Zernet. So how we can identify, like I'm talking to group of people or a senior person? This is something probably I didn't get that part.
Yes. You cannot find out actually. If you find only this sentence as a standalone sentence on a piece of paper, if you find, you cannot identify whether it's being talked to a senior person or to a group of people, because
Oh.
German language is context-based language. Once you correlate with the next sentence and the previous sentences, then you can find out the exact meaning.
Mm,
Yeah.
example of literature and poet.
Yeah. That's right. Get used to it. But anyways, it's hardly a big problem. I mean, I never faced any big trouble because of this. Okay. So a quick revision. We talked about sein, which is very less used, first of all, as compared to haben, because haben is entirely a different story. Sein literally means to be, and this is the conjugation. Ich bin, du bist, sie es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. Right? Now, there are a few regel or rules that you must consider when you are using sein. Rules to use sein. Yeah. So first of all, the biggest rule is, because at times when you learn both haben and sein, at times you will find it a little confusing whether to use sein at a place or to use haben at a place, because both verbs you will find that they both fit in this situation, but then only these rules will identify which one you have to use. So let's say there is a movement of somebody. Let's say this is me, and I am presently in Germany, and I am traveling to Spain, here in Spain, right? So that means there is a movement. I will write down clearly, MOVE, or you can say uh, there is a aeroplane. What is this? I don't know. Yeah, here is an aeroplane, and it has flown from this position to this position, right? So that means there is a clear indication of movement from one location to other location. Then you will be using Zine, right? I will give you some examples later on. However, just think upon it. This is a football field, right? And here I am, and I am running around here and here because I am playing football. Of course, I am changing my situation. My position is being changed. However, here because it is restricted within a field, we will not be using Zine here, right? Or even if let's say this is a swimming pool, and here I am swimming very fast. I am coming from here to there and from there to here. Still I am changing positions. My movement is there, but still I cannot use Zine here because the change in position is in a field only, is in a restricted field. So here I should not use Zine. Well, of course, if you make any mistake, nobody is going to arrest you. But grammatically, it will be mistake in case if you use Zine within a restricted field. I'll give you some examples, then it will be more clear. Let's say he flew to India. Now the correct conversion to German will be er ist nach Indian. Now to fly is fliegen. But here you see it's a flew, that is a past tense. So you have not yet learned this, so don't get confused. But here what we'll be using is geflogen. This is topic of maybe after a month we will take up this topic. How do we do the preteritum or past principle, all that verb formations. So right now just focus upon this. Er ist nach Indien geflogen. So you see friends, er ist, ist, is a conversion, is a conjugation of, here you see, yeah,
Zine.
yes, ist, right? Because he has flown from one position to another, that's why we are using er ist, nach Indien geflogen, right? Now, right now you have learnt only Zine, thereby you don't find the confusion factor here. Because once you will learn this haben, which I will take up in next 10 minutes, you will find that you can frame this sentence with haben also. Er hat nach Indien geflogen, also you can use that, but that will be grammatically wrong. I'll take it up later on. Now, there are certain verbs that you can associate with movement. For example, gehen. It is to go. Or fliegen, that is to fly, right? Or maybe like kommen. Well friends, I am using capital letters, which is not the right thing. It has to be small only because it's verb. Kommen, to come, right? Then laufen. Laufen is equal to, well, it can be to run or to walk. Run basically is rennen, right? So you see, These all verbs indicate clear movement. Fliegen, gehen, kommen. So whenever you find these verbs, you can straight away use any form of sein, right? So you understand now, friends, the first rule that I wanted to mention is if there is any movement, then you have to use sein, right? The second rule that I want to point out is if there is any change of condition, change of state or condition. Let's say here I am and I am very active, and after some time here I am and I am sleeping, I am dreaming, right? So this clearly says that here I am active and here I am sleeping. So that means there is clear-cut change of state. So when such things happens, that is your condition changes, then you have to use the sein. Let's say here is a small plant, and after some days it becomes a tree, right? And there is a flower also on it. So you see there is a change of state. The state has changed. So here again you will be using sein. This is a very simple thing. I mean, there is not much to think upon. So these two rules you should always remember. If there is change of state, then you have to use sein, and if there is movement, then you have to use sein. Now a few verbs that will show you change of state. So one of them could be einschlafen, Schlafen. It is let's say if I am very active now, and I am converting to sleeping mode, right? This is einschlafen. So this verb, if you use anywhere, you can consider that there is a change of state and you have to use sein. Now, as you know, this German language is extremely precise. So there is an opposite also, which is aufwachsen. That is, if I am right now sleeping and I became active all of a sudden, that is, I wake up active, right? So this is aufwachsen. So remember, friends, if you are in night, you are active and going to sleep, then you will use einschlafen, and in the morning when you are sleeping and you wake up, then you have to use aufwachsen. Okay? Then there is one more thing called sterben, that is to die. So that means once a person is active and all of a sudden he is not active. So here it is sterben. So whenever you use this verb, then again we have to use sein. So anyways, don't get too much into the depth of these rules. Just remember change of state, sein, and movement is going to be your sein. Now, why I am focusing too much upon it is there is a counterpart which is known as haben, right? And haben means to have. So the conjugation is very simple. Ich habe, du hast, sie hat, wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. Now friends, here you probably remember since the start of this lecture I always focused upon pronunciation. So I request everybody one by one to please pronounce, and I'll correct it right away whenever you make any mistake. So starting with Chetan, Raghu and Amia. So let's start with Chetan. Chetan, can you please pronounce every verb here?
Yeah, Billy.
No. This one.
Okay. Habe, Ich habe,
Yeah.
du hast,
Hmm.
er hat,
Hmm.
wir haben,
Hmm.
ihr habt,
Yeah.
sie haben.
Right. Now, a small correction here. When we say haben, in the spoken language, it is not spoken like haben. It is only haben. Haben. You can say haben.
Haben.
That is, this E is like only 20% of this E is pronounced. Haben.
Haben.
Yeah, right. That's perfect. All right. So, Raghu, can you try?
Ja, ich habe,
Yeah.
du hast,
Hmm.
hat,
Yeah.
wir haben,
Hmm.
ihr habt,
Yeah.
sie haben.
Absolutely right. Amia, you also give it a try, please.
Yeah. So ich habe,
Hmm.
du hast,
Hmm.
er hat,
Hmm.
wir haben,
Hmm.
ihr habt,
Hmm.
sie haben.
All right, perfect. Just whenever you speak out this R, speak out RZS, because if you miss this S on Z, you may forget it in future also. Yeah? So it's always so. Anyways, that's perfectly fine. So let me give some example. Yeah. So if I were to ask you, you are correct. This sentence, if I were to convert to German,
Du bist.
yeah. So correct is richtig, right? And you is do. Now the question comes on what verb should I use here, right? So one option is this: du bist richtig, correct? However, this is grammatically wrong. The correct one is du hast recht.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or du hast richtig, whatever you want. So now, why are we using hast? That is not bist, but hast. So again, you consider the two rules that I told you just now.
There is no
Any
movement.
movement around here?
No.
No, no. And there is no change of state also,
Correct.
right? So that's why I said haben will be used 80% of times, right? Most of the time you will find haben is the correct verb to use. And in case if you are in doubt whether to use sein or haben, then blindly go for haben only, right?
Yeah. One more example I just remembered. So, du bist müde. So,
Correct. Du bist müde.
müde.
That is, you are tired.
Yeah. So there is a state change.
Yes, yes. Because previously he was active and now he is tired. So
Yeah.
you can use bist, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. Good rule.
Yeah, but what happens if you are fluently, speaking, you get confused sometimes, which I have to use. So go for haben.
Yeah.
Now, when I was Berlin last time and Corona struck in, I later on, maybe like in April, there was a small term where there was no lockdown. I mean, the lockdown was released. So many shops had one Zeichnung pamphlet on front of the door. We are open. Yeah.
Then that is to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So where sind
Geöffnet.
geöffnet? Yes.
Yeah. Wir
State
sind
change.
geöffnet.
Mm.
However, I still don't understand. Some people had also written wir haben geöffnet.
Maybe they are not German.
Well, I don't understand. But this question I have not yet understood, which is the correct one. Yeah. But that was in Berlin. I don't understand why they wrote this. It's something like a homework for we all. We can find out later on. Yeah, great. So there are very few rules, rather only 2 rules associated with haben. Let me, where is it? Yeah, only 2 rules, not much. Rules to use haben. First is, if you see a direct object, which is also known as accusative case. Right. Now, I abruptly left this grammar portion because for last 2 weeks we were learning cases. So I gave a break here. Next week again we will take up accusative and dative. So here there are a list of verbs which denotes accusative case. So if those verbs you find anywhere, you can blindly go for haben. Okay. So make sure if there is a direct object, Frank writes a letter, for example. Frank writes a letter, right? So here it is a this letter is in accusative case because it's a direct object. So here you have to make sure that it is haben is used here. I mean, some form of haben will be used in this sentence. Now, here I don't think there is any haben to be used, but if there is any accusative case, accusative verb being used, then you have to use haben. This is a very simple rule. We will take it up later on when we do these cases again. And the second thing is reflexive verbs. Now, these reflexive verbs are entirely a different story. We will take it up later on. I mean, this is something like you are, learning on a field, and a small part of the field is associated with reflexive verbs. So let us focus upon the the low-hanging fruits first, and then we'll focus upon all these small things. So most important thing is whenever you are finding any direct object, or you are finding any of the verbs which are associated with accusative, then you can blindly go for haben, right? So that's a simple rule that you can follow all the times. Now, this was all for today. Just a recap I want to mention here is, as you might have already noticed, sein and haben are anyways 2 verbs, right? And they are not following any rule. The conjugation is not following any rule. So they are strong verbs, or you can say irregular verbs. Right? So this is all for today. I mean, I don't want to go too deep. I mean, there is still a lot to learn, but that's something we can skip for now, and maybe in a later stage we can pick it up. So right now, what we have learned is, for sein, there is very less usage. It's close to only 20%, and sein literally means to be, and haben is mostly used, and it literally means to have. Ich bin, du bist, sie ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. Ich habe, du hast, sie hat, wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. I request you, friends, please remember this by heart. I mean, this is something which is just as important as the previous screenshots that you have already taken. I mean, this is something that you have to learn by heart. That's all I can say for now. Right? Any questions, friends? Any doubts?
Not exactly.
Yeah. Otherwise, on Facebook, on our WhatsApp group, you can always post any doubt in the middle of the week also. So This is all that I wanted to take up today. Let me check if I am missing out anything. Yeah, one small thing just wanted to mention here. Let's say I took the example of Trinken. So, Trinken. If I write this in a with a clear writing, Trinken. So here what happens, you will see when you conjugate this, so this will remain the same all the times and ending will change, right? So in German, this portion is known as Stamm, that is stem. For example, this is a tree and this is known as the stem. So for all the trees, the stem will remain the same, right? Only the top blumen, that is flowers or leaves, will change. Likewise, here the base of the verb remains the same and the ending is known as endung. So if you recall the conjugation of trinken, ich trinke, du trinkst, es trink, wir trinken, ihr trinkt, sie trinken. So trink remains the same all the time and this portion will be known as Stamm. Likewise, zum Beispiel, if I take
The main word.
yes, main word, fliegen, essen, whatever you use, the first character, a few characters will be common and they will be known as Stamm, right? And the last will be known as Endung, right? So I think with this we are done for the day. A general question to all. Let's say this is a house and here I am and I am out. Let's say I'm going out and now I am here and somebody from house calls you, hey, where are you? And then you reply, I have moved out. So friends, what do you think? How do we say this? I mean, I'm not talking about the grammar. I'm focusing upon I have moved out. So
Ich habe.
ich habe. You see, this is the problem. We are focused upon have and we find the straight counterpart is habe. But you see, this moved out is a movement.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So the correct will be ich bin. Now the verb is different, whatever it may be. Yeah. Here it will be gegangen. I mean, to go to gehen, and the past participle, the preteritum form is gegangen. So the first look you see have, you are kind of attracted or you are internally forced to use habe, but just focus upon the sense of the sentence. There is a movement and then it will be bin. I have fallen asleep. Yeah, right. So you see have again and you are attracted to use habe, but
Yeah,
again
but
here
ich bin.
yes, perfect.
So basically, movement should be, you should have a clarity for that movement, right? So in football field or swimming, we don't have a clarity. We just run around.
That's right.
So,
Exactly.
so here at least you are going out from the house, so it has some clarity.
Exactly. You are breaching the borders, you can say.
Exactly.
Yes, you're going out of it. Maybe from Germany you're going to France or to Spain. Then again, and one small thing which is a little deviation from today's topic. I have a car, right? So here you can say,
Habe.
yeah, ich habe
Auto.
ein Auto.
Ein Auto.
That's perfectly correct. However, this is a kind of A1 or A2 level German. If you switch over to B1 or B2, then the correct sentence, because these are context based sentences now. So here, ich habe ein Auto will be replaced with ich besitze ein Auto. Now, what is this?
So owning,
Yes, exactly.
owning.
Owning. I own a car, right? So this is also
Yeah.
perfect. There's no doubt in it. You'll get 100 out of 100. But the Germans, whichever to whom you're talking, will feel more friendly if you use Ich besitze ein Auto, right? So this is, a more refined version, which comes later on after your learning of German, right?
Yeah, I mean it's even in English also same thing, right? I have a car, I own a car. So
Yes,
it is you are becoming advanced in
yes,
language.
yes, exactly, exactly. You are absolutely correct, right? Du hast recht damit. Du hast recht damit. I mean, you are absolutely right.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so this was all for today. I request you guys, once I load this video on YouTube, please have a look at it at least in the middle of the week, because now we are, diving into some deep German, or rather serious German. And if you make your platform very strong here right now, your future journey will be very easy, right? Uh, especially this rule, for sein and haben should be very clear, and then you'll avoid making mistakes. See, if you switch sein and haben, you still make the correct sentence, but then it is technically, or you can say grammatically, it's not correct. So always prefer to do the things right at the first place only. So with this, let's wind up for today, friends. I wish you very good luck and very good week ahead.
Thanks, Sid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yes.